Good evening and welcome to the third Immersive Software Engineering webinar. This is a slightly different one. This is an Ask Us Anything format webinar with a very special guest. So we are open for your questions. We're open for your comments, for your queries. If you're a student, if you're thinking about putting LM173 down on the CEO as a choice, hopefully your first preference. If you're thinking of the degree at all, if you're wondering about the comparisons between the courses or any of the detail, that's what this is for. So if you're a student, if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're a guidance counsellor, or if you're just curious about the course, the way to ask us questions is to click the little question mark bar on the Teams application, which is on the top right-hand corner of your screen. And we will get through as many as we can. In the last webinar, we had about 60 questions, so we'll do our very best to get through them all, and we'll make sure that they're all answered on our FAQs as well when they're there. So before we get to the questions, we should just introduce ourselves. So I'm Stephen Kinsella. I'm a co-director of Immersive Software Engineering here at the University of Limerick, and I'm incredibly excited to be part of this venture. Joining us online is my colleague, JJ Collins, who I will ask to introduce himself in the next second. So JJ, please, if you could just introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll introduce Tiziana.
Hi Stephen, thank you very much for that introduction. So my name is JJ Collins. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Computer Science and Information Systems at the University of Limerick. And for those of you who are very curious, I lecture software architecture and machine learning. My research is in that area. So within Immersive Software Engineering, my role is head of residencies. This is one of the key innovations we've introduced into Immersive Software Engineering, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk more about that with you via the questions and answers. So again, just to emphasize, this is a question-driven event, and please throw every question at us. We're happy to discuss and engage. So with that, I'll hand over to my colleague, Tiziana.
Okay, so thank you, JJ. My name is Tiziana Margarilla. I'm a full professor of software systems here in the Computer Science and Information Systems department at UL. My own area is, of course, system development, software development, formal methods, high assurance systems, and I'm also the co-director of the Center of Research Training in AI, which is a big national level graduate school that we are having here. In the specific ISE context, I am the academic course director, so basically I will be responsible for all the administrative aspects, for the enrollment and all these kind of things. And I'm co-director of the entire program together with Steve, that you have already met in a minute ago, if not in a previous webinar. And because this is an Ask Me Anything session that we have, and a lot of questions also concern the relationship with the residency partners, what we thought today is to invite a special guest, which is Gillian Place from Becton Dickinson. She's a software engineer there, but she has a very special story that she wants to tell you. And so I hand over to Gillian. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Tiziana. It's great. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm a really big fan of ISE. So as Tiziana said, I'm a senior software engineer working at Becton Dickinson, or BD. They're a global medical technology company, and they've got 65,000 associates worldwide. They're dedicated to advancing the world of health. I'm based in Castletroy, just beside UL actually, so we're neighbours. So I've been working as a software developer for 20 years. I've worked in many different areas. I've worked in finance, I've worked in aviation, and then for the last 2.5 years in healthcare. I've had lots of titles. You could be called a computer programmer, software developer, software engineer, but in the end, what you're doing is you're solving problems with computers or with code. So I have to say my favorite role has been in healthcare so far because I really feel like I'm helping. So the software that I work on at the moment, it works with a medical device and it basically diagnoses things like leukemia and HIV. So I really feel like I'm, helping with my day-to-day work, which is great. But I suppose my story is a little bit different in that I never really thought I was going to be a programmer. So if you'd have told me when I was in 6th year that I was going to be a computer programmer, I'd have said no way. I didn't own a computer. I didn't know anybody working in IT. I definitely didn't know any women working in IT. So I didn't even think I was going to go to college, to be quite honest. I was very lucky in that I had a cousin who took me aside and kind of said, you should apply for college. Try maybe an arts degree. I really liked math, so I was really into logic and solving problems, and I was quite inquisitive. So what I did was I applied for Mary I, and luckily I got in. Just by a few points. In fact, it wasn't. I didn't get greatly with the results. I didn't really study hard until I got to college, I have to say. But I got into Mary I, started studying maths, and really enjoyed the whole college experience. Did a little bit of programming through the maths, a little bit of Pascal, but even still, programming wasn't on the top of my radar. So by the end of my degree, I kind of wanted to do something different. I wanted to continue on with my studies. I really kind of got the bug for education, I have to say. So I applied to be a secondary school teacher, and also, IT was booming at the time, and there was a postgrad in applied computing in UL. So I also applied for that just as a backup because it was quite difficult to get into secondary school teaching. In the end, I got both courses and had to make a decision. And unfortunately, we had some difficult family circumstances that year when we lost my dad. So I decided just to stay in Limerick and go to UL. So I was an accidental programmer, basically. But when I went to UL, it actually was such an amazing experience. I learned so much, and it really, really suited me. And the whole logic and critical reasoning, and the speed of learning and the variety of things that I learned, I really just loved. I really, really took to it and excelled there. I was surprised. I was the most surprised person when I graduated with first class honours, and I got 2 gold letters from the president, which I'm still really proud about today. So that was really great. It was a really launch pad into my career. Really set me up well for my first job. So then I worked in Castletroy in 2 different companies for 5 years after that. Although my first day when I went for the interview, I was asked, was I coming for the receptionist job? Because, I didn't quite fit the mold of what you normally think of a developer at the time. But it was a really great experience. I got to travel quite a lot. So travel was really something that interested me. So I went to Australia, I went to America, I went to South Africa. I was often flown business class, which was quite, an unusual thing for me. I grew up in Limerick. I came from St. Mary's Parish. It was quite an unusual thing for somebody to be flying business class and, getting limo to work. And unfortunately, there was no social media back then to record everything. But it was a really fantastic experience. I was meeting so many interesting people, learning so many different things. And so it was amazing. So I actually decided to move to Australia then for 5 years. So I worked there. So in Australia, I worked as a contractor. So in IT, you can contract or you can work permanently. When you're working permanently, there's lots of perks of working in a permanent role. You'll have pension, you'll have good income, you'll have healthcare, bonuses, etc. Whereas contracting is quite good rates, but you don't have the kind of the security around it. And just if you're interested in kind of what you can earn when you're in software, you can look at Morgan McKinley. They do really good salary calculators online. Just if when you're thinking about getting into software, it's good to know what kind of experience you need and what kind of salary you can earn. So that would just be a tip, I'd say. So moved back from Australia after 5 years and spent 8 years in Shannon working in aviation. And that was quite interesting, but definitely the great move for me was moving to healthcare and really feeling like I was, giving back and using my skills to the best of my ability. I think as well with software, there's really an awful leaning towards the technology and how good the technology is, which it is really important to know your technology well. But you can build something right and you can build the right thing. So you can build something right, but it can still be the wrong thing. So at the end of the day, you really need to solve a problem. You need to know what the issue is. You need to know what the end user wants, and you need to work with that. So I definitely think communication and collaboration are really important aspects of software development, not just the technical side of things. And really, just constantly checking in with the person that you're building your software for, doing iterative cycles and getting feedback constantly to make sure you're building the right thing, not just in the right way. So, I can see from ISE, the course is just absolutely amazing. I just love how they redefined everything, where you're just like being exposed to so many different industries. So as a student, you're going to get exposure to like 5 different companies in different areas. You know, you wouldn't get that over, you know, 10, 20 years of experience. So really, you know, jump on that and make the most of it. You're going to meet so many contacts, you know, for your career. You're going to be earning money for like, you know, 2 years of it. You're going to end up with the masters. You're absolutely going to be, you know, the elite graduates coming out of that course. And, you know, I just think it's amazing. And also, you know, in software, you can mix different things. So you might be interested in medicine, you might be interested in science, but, you know, you can combine all these different things with software, because software is across every industry. And just finally, I'd say we really need some more diversity in software. There's, you know, I just checked the stats today, and it's like 5% of women developers worldwide in the 2021 survey, which, you know, we need a lot more women and a lot more diversity in general, because software is built for, you know, society, and society is made up of lots of different people. So if developers, you know, teams of developers have a better spread of people, you'll just build better software that will just suit everybody. So I couldn't recommend this course highly enough. I think it's absolutely amazing. And the guys, Steve and JJ, Tiziana, are just so passionate about what they're doing. And yeah, I wish I could go back and do this course. So thanks, guys. That's just my bit of my story. So thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, let me know. Cheers.
Gillian, thank you. Thank you so much, Gillian. That's an incredible endorsement for the course. And I think when we were designing it, JJ and Tiziana and I were designing this course 2 years ago, this is what we wanted it to be. This is the spirit that we wanted to have. This is the these are the outcomes that you just described there, that we wanted to see. And the fact that we have the opportunity to connect with people like you it's just a gift, frankly, and just from our perspective. Just thank you so much for that. That was amazing, and I hope the team here were taking notes, because there's some really excellent points there that I think we'd love to see again. So let's get straight into the questions. So these are going to be fairly fast now, because we already have 17 questions. This is a 45-minute event, so we have we're going to be quite fast here, so keep your questions coming as we answer them. If they repeat one after the other or whatever, that's fine. We'll just move through them again, and if there's something that if we answer a question and it's not clear, just ask it again and say thanks, and we'll just move through them as quickly as we possibly can, okay, just to really keep the energy up. So Aoife is our first questioner in the door. Fair play to you, Aoife, first off the marks. So probably the question that we want answered too: what would your rough estimate for points be? And the answer, unfortunately, Aoife, is we don't know. So this is the first time this course has come about, and the way the points work is the supply of the supply of the places, and then the demand for it gives you the points recommendation. So if there's one place and 1,000 people want it, it's going to probably be something like 600 points. But the final points for any course are always decided by the points of the last person in the course. So you could have, if there were 25 places and 24 people were on 600 points, and the 25th person was on 300 points, the 300 points is what you would see in the points the next year. So the first answer is we don't know, but we have high hopes here. We think it's going to be in high demand. And so this is a question, I think, for Tiziana. Where will the residency companies be based?
Yes, so there are many residency companies. Some are local, some are national, some are international. So part of the residency matching process that we are going to have will also be, concerning the location, concerning the opportunity also to go abroad and to have experience abroad during the 4 years of the course, but also for people who, for whatever reason, are maybe not able to leave the location, etc. That's going also to be considered. Okay, if there are specific indications, for example, reasons of family or whatever, that's something that we are going to be able to consider as well. So we offer the widest opportunities, but there is going to be a process that is going to take care of your needs, the company's needs, and make the best possible match.
Yeah, I think that is a beautiful summary, because what we've really got is a kind of a growing group of companies some are in, Mayo and Newry, others are in Dublin, some of them are in London, some of them are in Canada and in the United States, of course. So that group is growing, and I can tell you, but without telling you specifics, I can tell you there's a lot more exciting stuff coming, which I'm actually kind of bursting to tell you. I have to say, I know we all are. So this now is a question for JJ. So Abu Talha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If not, I apologize. ISE is a high-paced course. I know that there is a certain degree of commitment and time consumption that students will have to go through. This certainly affects student life. Has there been accommodation done to help students through this high-paced environment?
And thank you, Stephen, for the easy question again. So we have spent a lot of time modelling the amount of time commitment that students need to give. Like any of our existing programs, it's based on this concept called ECTS, European Credit Transfer System. I'll stop there before I lose the audience. So we have put in place models. We have put in place measures and metrics that we capture to measure student performance with respect to engagement and watch for signals with respect to burnout, etc. And we have designed interventions. But again, I'd just like to add one thing, that many years ago, before the advent of electricity, that when I finished at college, the last day of semester, had a little party with my friends, had a few cups of tea and coffee, etc. And the next morning, we were all jumping on planes, heading abroad to continental Europe or the US or even further afield for summer jobs. And not all the summer jobs were related to what we were studying, in my case, computer science. So in this case, you, just like any other undergraduate, you will be working through the summer, but in your case, you get paid for it, very well paid for it, and you'll be working in the best companies in the world in software engineering, working on thorny problems, solving solutions that mean something to a wide community of people. So back to you, Stephen.
On this one, I would have a comment, maybe. We also have a young advisory board in ISE, which basically means it is a group at the moment of 4 people that have gone through quite demanding programs themselves. So we have direct experience of people that have gone through the intensive model, not in Ireland, not in computer science, but intensive and over 40 weeks. And so we have actually included this feedback and included this experience in the design. So these people have agreed to be available also for discussion and for meeting the students. So this is a specific other support on top of the normal UL support that we have for first-year students, for example, that we are offering these students. So you're not going to be alone, okay?
If anything, the space that we're designing for you, which is a brand new space, it will encourage togetherness. You'll be in the same space with your classmates for a lot of hours every week. So hopefully that we'll be able to foster a good sense of community for you, and you'll have a very enjoyable experience. So Fionn asks, how many places will there be on the course? And the answer is between 25 and 30. Fionn, we don't have an exact number yet, obviously, but we're going to keep the student numbers very small in the first year because so much of this is experimental. The studio space is experimental. The residency model is experimental. The mode of instructional design is experimental. So you will be pioneers if you're lucky enough to be admitted to the course. If you're not, you'll be, and if we're lucky enough to have you, you'll be exactly analogous to the original class that came into the University of Limerick almost 50 years ago now. So they came into a new university to do a new kind of course, and this course has a huge amount of the same, if you like, founding spirit as that. And if you look at the biographies of the people who did that original course, they've all gone on to do amazing things. So this is a question from Mark, and I'll throw it to you, Tiziana.
Okay. Is
there much of a difference between a computer science course and a software engineering course? Great question, Mark.
Okay, so the usual answer, it depends. So if you go into the curricula, for example, of IEEE and the ACM, there are some kind of standard curricula recommendations. There is some difference in the sense that the software engineering courses, traditional ones, they are more concentrated on programming and the computer science one, they have more theory. Okay, what is going to happen in ISE is that you're going to have the best of the theory with the best of the practice. So we called it immersive software engineering because we could not call it immersive blah, 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 a long title, so to say. So definitely the software engineering is there, it is front and center, but you're not going to have less foundations, okay, less algorithmics, for example, less principles, even complexity theory, etc., than the students that are studying computer science, and definitely not less than those that are studying effectively applied computer science internationally or computer systems with us. Okay, so we had to choose for a title. So it became software engineering, but definitely you're not going to be short on the foundations, on the concepts, on what is called the theory, only that it is going to be organized in a different way. You don't have a theory module and then practice modules. We combine it all together so that it makes more sense to you.
And I think it's a perfect answer, because it also leads us exactly into this difference between a module and a block. So a module is the way we teach now in university. If you go into any other university course, you'll do 4 or 5 modules that run in parallel. You walk between the modules the same way now that you go between classes. You know, you might move from geography to history to computer science to mathematics. You know, with a 2-hour block in each, or a 2-hour timestamp in each. We're not going to do that. We're going to have blocks, which are very different from modules, which blend these things together. So it's going to feel very different to any kind of course that you've been involved in before, or certainly any other course that you see around you. Now a question for JJ from Anonymous. And this is on the portfolio. Another innovation that we have here is the portfolio submission process. So we're not just interested in your points. We also want to get evidence of your creativity, your passion. We want to understand your previous achievements in a different way. So the question from Anonymous is the detail on an achievement I'm proud of to be included in the written statement, or is it a separate document as part of your application? JJ.
Thanks, Stephen, for that. So it's a separate document as part of the application. And again, the achievement, we wanted to demonstrate your creativity, your vision, your innovation, your ability to contribute to the community you live in, or the community could be within your home or within your school or within an organization that you contribute to. So it's a separate submission. Can I just draw your attention to the webinar that we're going to have? I think it's Saturday, the 11th of December, and that's 4 p.m. to approximately 5:30. And that webinar is dedicated solely to the portfolio. We'll have a number of speakers walking you through the process, what we're looking for, and examples of what would constitute a good portfolio submission. Can I just, Stephen, add one point about the intensity and the accelerated nature of the program? To stress that almost 45% of your time you're spent in residency. There are 5 residencies throughout the 4 years. And for those residencies, you'll be working standard office hours, which is typically, let's say, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. to approximately 6 p.m. and that's it. And not only that, but you're getting well paid. So the intensity is very well managed. Anyway, back to you, Stephen, for more comments on the portfolio.
Thanks, JJ. So a question from Anonymous. How will exams work and partnerships work as I have a physical disability? Well, I think Tiziana's actually already answered this. First off, we're not going to have exams in the traditional sense. You're not going to be asked to do, exams at the end of 12 weeks of instruction. It's continuous assessment all the way through. But the second thing is, we will work with you to design an individual program of study for you. Your disability will be catered for. For example, if you have family supports and caring supports that have to, if you're from Limerick, let's just say, and you have to remain here, we will organise remote residencies for you and so forth. So we will be as flexible as possible to accommodate your needs. And again, UL has really good resources in this respect that have nothing to do with ISE. It's just a very well resourced system. We as lecturers would all be aware of, and so UL is a very friendly campus for students with a physical disability, and we welcome your application because, as Gillian said, we really want to encourage diversity in the space. So another question, I guess, for you, JJ, what else has to be included in the written statement from Anonymous? It's quite a long, quite an open statement there, Anonymous. So I don't know, JJ, make your best effort.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a participant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Without the Million.
Phone a friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, the question is, what are we looking for in the written statement with respect to
the question is, what else has to be included in the written statement?
Well, you have to provide sufficient evidence, number one, that will give us confidence that the statements that you're making there are factually correct. It comes back to the basic premise of the portfolio is to demonstrate excellence, and to provide signals to us that you have achieved excellence across multiple dimensions in your life, and that you can bring that mindset, ethos and culture into immersive software engineering, and in that way you create an environment amongst your fellow students, problem-based learning, studio-based learning, etc., in which you're supporting each other to accelerate your learning and to have a great time, a university experience, at the end of which you graduate with a master's, technical excellence, creativity and innovation. So we'll deal more with this in the webinar on the 11th of December.
Indeed, indeed. Another question from Anonymous, is there a predicted points requirement for the course? No, not yet. One for you, Tiziana, I study computer science for the Leaving Cert. Will that be taken into account?
The short answer is no. We accept students that also do not have any prior knowledge of computer science, programming, etc. So this is going to go completely by points, okay? The only thing where, of course, this can play a role is in the portfolio, because if you are more advanced in technology, you may have a different kind of project, okay? This is not to say that we are just going to select people that are already skilled, so to say, in programming, because we are assuming actually that you are starting from scratch. And that's the baseline that we are going to have. One thing that I would like to say to this is that you're not going to be, let's say, bored and sit in the classroom basically saying, that's what I already know, because be sure it's going to be taught in a very different way. So the experience is going to be different. The fact that you know already something will be a help, okay? But we are going to probably have a very different take to the entire, let's say, enterprise of coming to design software. It's problem solving oriented. It is a completely different approach.
Yeah, and I think you should take that on board. It is a different approach. I think you can feel from the website, from the way we're talking, from the way we've designed the course, from the course structure to the modules, to the blocks and the titles that they have, and just to everything we're doing. You know, if that's all different, and the space that we're teaching them in is all different, what we teach and how we teach it is going to be different too. A question for you, JJ. If you make a website for fun, would sending on a copy of the code used be sufficient enough by a PDF file, as in sending it along with the PDF file for the portfolio? Okay, I think I see where you're going there, but I'll let JJ answer.
Yeah, well, the first thing is, where's the innovation and creativity in the website? So, for example, if it's doing something to help your fellow students at school, maybe with a subject, that's great, that's fantastic. The second thing is, have you stepped back and evaluate the website from a design perspective, you know, from the graphics? Has it gained tractability with your fellow students in the example I've just used there? And what's the feedback from them? And third, then we look at the technology, and that's not a critical factor, but if you brought something other than HTML, for example, to play, this is visible in the implementation, then that will have some impact on our overall evaluation as well. But can I stress again, and you'll see this in the residencies. The one thing that impresses me most, the caliber of people you'll be working with in residency, is their innovation and creativity. And I keep coming back to this example that resonates strongly with me. Manuero drone delivery. 3 years ago when I heard about this, I thought, this is crazy. This is a nut job, effectively. Where's the marketplace for this? And a few weeks ago, I've said this in previous webinars, so apologies for repetition, but I'm stretched out flat in the sofa at 11 o'clock at night and instructed and ordered to run to the shop. And I was there thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was a drone who would deliver a pint of milk or whatever it was? And for every one of our 50 plus residency partners, they bring this vision and innovation and creativity, and they see opportunity where a lot of us see obstacles or reasons why not. So again, with a website, what's the value proposition? And secondary to that will be the tech. Remember, the tech it's a vehicle used to build the solution, but the solution itself, the core vision there is what's really important. Back to you, Stephen.
Thanks, JJ. So we've got 35 questions that have come in. Thank you all so much for all of your questions. We are going to, we've got about 15 minutes left, 14 minutes to go. We promised this would be 45 minutes. So we're not going to go to like single answers, but we're going to speed up a little bit. So for you, Tatiana, if you have some experience in programming and are a mature student and a mature candidate, how does that work? The candidate is living in Greystones.
Yeah, that works very well. So you're going to already know something, okay, of what we are going to teach you. As I said, it is going to be a different approach. So probably what you taught yourself or what you were taught in some kind of training will be different from what we are teaching you, and the way actually we are approaching the concepts behind that and the mentality behind that. So you're not going to be taught, for example, a programming language. You're going to be taught how to think like a programmer. Okay, that's different. So I don't see any difference, so to say, for your case than for the others joining the course.
Indeed, and there's a mature student pathway and application, and all the detail for that is available on the site and particularly on the UL, the main UL site. A quick one for you, JJ. Would there be any aspects of the course that would help in a game development career?
Every aspect of the course. Again, games, what are they? They're software products. And from day one, our first block on campus is solving problems with computers. And you could use the design of a game as a vehicle for a team-based project within that. Every module throughout the 4 years on campus, you get experience that is highly relevant to the games industry.
Beautiful. This is another question. How do I show my interest for programming if I don't know how to program? As Tiziana said, we don't assume that you know how to program. If you've done a bit of Python or something like that, then that's all great. But we're not assuming it. And what we need, and I think this question is coming from the portfolio angle. What we want is really evidence of excellence. So show us where you've done something that you think is exceptional, that you're really proud of. It doesn't need to be in software. You can talk about episodes of or episodes from your life where you were creative, where you brought people together, where you made a difference, where you had an impact, where you pushed things forward. And like I said, this is not really a programming course. It's a course in how to think and a course in how to solve problems with other people, which is a very interesting element. Fiona asks, when composing your portfolio, can you reference other types of media, such as a YouTube video? JJ?
Please do. All external sources, the more diverse, the better. Do reference them.
I think this is the same candidate from Greystones.
Yeah.
He's saying, or he or she is saying they've got a wife, kids, etc. They love the idea of the course. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Does that mean you want to be?
It's work balance question or whatever.
Sure.
Well, okay. Assume
Sure.
that you are really working full time and you have to organize yourself with the other commitments that you have in such a way that as if you were basically in a demanding job. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Anonymous asks, if you have an idea for your portfolio, but you aren't 100% sure it's suitable, are we capable of emailing you about whether it would work or not? JJ?
Yeah, please do email us. We'll give a quick run over your proposal and give you some guidance. But you cannot submit, I'm halfway through my portfolio. Can you go through this in detail and give me feedback? We're not allowed to do that under the rules, but we are happy to engage with you in high-level discussion.
Very good.
Yeah, and on that one, I would also mention that on the 11th of December, we are going to have a specific webinar only for portfolios. So if you have questions, if you have ideas or whatever, and you're not sure, well, that's the right moment to come attend, okay? There is going to be an explanation of how the process is working. There are going to be, possibilities to ask questions specifically. So that's specifically 11th of December.
Yeah, and it's a workshop, so the idea is that there'll be some interaction there. Dara asks, what would an average day include in UL as an ISE student? Dara, I think that, so the first off is you're going to be in one space, right? So the day will start early. This is not a course where you rock in at 11 and leave at 2, having had an hour and a half for lunch, right? It's not that course. You're coming in early. You're expected. Tiziana uses the phrase "young professional." We're treating you as a young professional. We expect a certain level of professionalism from you from day one. We understand you're students, but it's immersive for a reason, right? So you're coming in. You might be working. You might have a team check-in. You might be meeting different companies. There might be companies presenting. You'll certainly be working with lecturers, working with PhD students, working with research assistants on specific projects. You'll be having meetings. You'll be going for lunch. You'll be hanging out with your friends. The UL campus is amazing. So if you want to go work out at lunchtime, there's a world-class gym up the road. If you want to go for a run, go for a walk. There's brilliant sports here. Then come back after lunch, do it all again. The idea is advancing your learning. Yeah. What do you think, Tiziana? Anything else?
Yeah, one more aspect maybe. So we are going to have something that will probably look a little bit like a lecture. It is not going to be in a lecture space, but every now and then we will have to actually tell everybody certain concepts and make sure that you have understood it. So it will feel a little bit like that. That will be plenary sessions. The one thing that you will have to do is to learn things on your own at home. You're going to be given readings. You're going to be discovery challenges, so where you have to go and find resources, okay? You are going also to be accountable for your achievements to your peers. You're going to work in groups. And that basically means that if you're not doing your work, you're damaging yourself and the others. And it is the normal reality in a software engineering context, in an IT context. That's the way we work. We work in teams. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this group feeling is going to be much higher in this course, okay, than in the other courses that are taught in a traditional way.
Very good. JJ, do you have anything to add to that?
Definitely. For me, when I think back to my undergraduate days, the one thing that stood out was the group of friends that I made. We're still great friends today. And we spent a lot of time in labs working on group projects together from years 1 to year 4. It was great times, great fun, etc. Every module, there were projects, or I could name each one of them if I was required to do so. So the important thing is you're going to have a great time. And you'll have a great time because of the quality of the other students who are like-minded with you, and they're really interested in immersive software engineering and changing the world. And because of that, for 4 years it's going to fly. And I guarantee, one thing I can guarantee, and I cannot guarantee very much, but that you will have great fun and you'll have a tremendous time.
Thanks, JJ. And the next 2 questions are kind of the same. They're from Fionn and Owen. So for the first question on the portfolio, can you reference smaller achievements in that, or just one? And Owen has sort of a similar question. So do you need to do one big project, or can you reference smaller ones that progress, if you like?
So I'll take that question. I think our preference at this point in time would be for a larger project, because that brings in a level of complexity that requires you to think your way through the solution, etc. But by all means, on the 11th of December for the portfolio webinar, maybe throw a specific question at us, and we'll be happy to deal with that in more detail then. Okay, back to you, Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So is bit of an interruption. Is a website I created for myself sufficient for the program? It depends, is the answer. Anonymous asks, for the residency companies not based in Limerick, will the responsibility be on us to find accommodation for the length of the placement? The answer is yes, it will. Will the companies be selected for students, or do the students choose? It's a balancing act. We will match the students to the companies based on interest, based on enthusiasm, and based on a number of other factors. Yeah, I think that's fair. Tatiana, have you got anything to add?
No, that's correct.
Eva asks how many places. I've already said that, 25 to 30 in the first year. Do you need much experience in software engineering for this course, Tatiana?
Not prior to the course. You're going to build your experience in software engineering, and quite a lot of it, okay? But you don't need to be already a software engineer. I mean, it's not a master. It is a bachelor master, okay?
Very
so
good.
You start from zero, not from scratch, because it suggests that we are going to use scratch, which is not the case.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. Do you need a science subject, JJ? Do you need a science subject to apply for this course?
I'd highly recommend a science subject because science teaches you to abstraction, design thinking, and it brings rigor and discipline to that process, which is key in software engineering. So I would strongly recommend it, but it's not a requirement.
Thanks, JJ. Anonymous asks, will you be taking on, just one for you, Tatiana, will you be taking on half girls and half boys?
I wish it would be the case, of course, but we cannot, could I say, decide or discriminate or prefer anybody on the basis of any criterion. So the criteria will just be, okay, your Leaving Cert outcome and the portfolio. So we hope, of course, that there are going to be many excellent girls also, and many excellent people from other, let's say, any kind of minorities or kind of special groups, etc., that are going to be interested and capable. And we are going to do our best, so to say, to give you all the information for being successful in this application. And then we have to see what happens. So please, please, please apply.
Another thing that we have a very strong commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion in this course, and I'm absolutely bursting to tell you, but I cannot yet tell you, but I can tell you that there will be an announcement about this soon. We really want to encourage this. We really want to see this happen. All of the companies that are involved with us have all told us they want to see this happen. They want to see more people from more different backgrounds and different approaches coming in, exactly as Gillian said. Gillian shows great passion and enthusiasm. Would she be available to speak to students at second level? She would be inspiring for all, but especially female students. I'll let Gillian answer that if she's still there. I agree with you. Thank you very much for the comment. Gillian is absolutely fantastic, and I believe she's still here, so I'll let her answer.
Great, thanks so much. I'd absolutely love to do that. I'm actually in the process of getting Garda vetted, so I can visit schools if needs be. But if you guys can send on my details to this person, I'd be quite happy to talk to them and either do a virtual talk or, if possible, come to a school. So I'd love to do that. Thanks.
Gillian, you're just so fantastic. You really are. You're just brilliant. And actually, like I think I said this already, but like the ability to work with people like Gillian it's off the charts. Abu Talha says, since there's so many partner companies and limited seats, will students be able to choose their residencies from any of the growing partners? Tatiana.
Yeah, so it's going to be a combination of the two things, because also the companies will have maybe preferences for students that, for example, have certain interests or they have in later residencies done projects in certain areas. So definitely there is going to be a combination of choices. And the good thing is that it is not a one-shot. Like with the normal courses with the co-op, where you have this opportunity and you stay for 6 to 9 months with the same company, you're going to have actually 5 shots. So you're going to be able to explore different sizes of companies, different domains, different industries, different roles. And so that's, I think, is one of the biggest strengths, so to say, of the organization of the ISE.
Yeah, I love that. JJ, have you anything to add?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Tiziana said, the 50% of the time in residencies working with the world's best company, the world's best people on real world problems. This is a unique opportunity. And it's, as Gillian said, I agree with everything, but it's especially her comment that I almost wish I could go back and do it again. Maybe I must go home and have that conversation with my other half. Can I become a student once again?
Okay, so we are coming to the end, but I'm going to get through some of these questions because we can answer them quickly and they're very important. So best case scenario, how many places would be available in the second year? The answer is around 50. So 25 in the first year, 50 in the second, 75 in the third, and about that after that. Maybe it'll go to 80. But that's the answer there. Will the last year cost more since it's a master's course for the final year? Yes. Currently, the government does not pay for the master's year of the course. So if you're not in receipt of a SUSI grant, you will have to pay. But we're hopeful that things will change between now and then, and in terms of government's funding for master's programs, but most importantly, in terms of support for you doing this. Can you give me some examples of, we'll do that in the 11th. Will the course be catered towards experienced programmers? Would subject areas like AI and machine learning be covered in the course? Absolutely. Will the internships affect back to education allowance? Good question, Roisin. Very good question. Will the internships affect your back to education allowance? I would say it probably would. This is the first time this has come up, Roisin. So, but I would say it probably would, because you're going to be an employee of Stripe or one of the other companies, you know. So I would imagine that it actually might.
But we can double check this.
But we will double check this, and thank you so much for giving us this question. More questions about the portfolio. Yeah, and again, if you've got these are very specific questions about the design and creation of engineering projects.
So that's for the
please
11th.
put that.
Yeah.
Since the course is laid out differently from other courses, would being part of a UL sports teams and such clash with this course? I don't think so. I don't think so. Most of the UL sports that we're aware of, they train in the evening, so it wouldn't be as much of a difficult thing. Yes, there's another question about portfolios. We are going to have a portfolio workship on the 11th. Me and my friend are interested in this course. Can we work together for the portfolio? And the answer is no, you can't. You need to submit your work. I love the fact that you're working together. Actually, I think that's amazing. But you need to submit your own work. Is a website sufficient? Again, it depends. Applied mathematics, yes, definitely sufficient for the course. People are asking for Gillian's contact information.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work like that.
Maybe. She is fantastic, but send us an email and we'll let her decide. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. How will Mark asks? I think, is this the last question? Wow. How will we be assessed if there's no exams, Tatiana?
Continuously. So basically, like we did now that the COVID has struck, instead of having a big high-stake assessment, as we call it, at the end of the semester, you're going to have actually tests, and you're going to have projects, you're going to have presentations, you're going to have intermediate steps. They are going to be graded. And so you're basically building your portfolio, okay, of achievements while you're building also your grades. And most important, also the residencies will be full graded. So it's not just pass fail. There is nothing pass fail here. Everything it counts, like in real life.
Everything counts, including the first year of this degree, which is very different from other courses. So I think we're slightly over time. We're 3 minutes over. So I would like to finish up and just be respectful of everyone's time. And just first off, finish up by thanking Gillian for giving of her time this evening. I think everyone listening and watching is as impressed with her as we are. So thank you very much, Gillian. You're just brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you to the ISE team here, to Keith and to Ian especially for organizing this third webinar. And finally, thank you very much for tuning in and for asking us these questions and for pushing us to come up with better answers for everyone. And the next time we're going to do something like this, I believe we said it at least once, is on the 11th of December, and we'll have more details available on our website. So thank you very much and have a good evening.